You're listening to Aging Uncensored.
Hey there, welcome back to Aging Uncensored. I'm Chaley Lawson, your host today, and we have a super special co-host that I'm so excited to have today. This is Jenny Alexander, and she is a registered dietitian, and I had the pleasure of working with Jenny at a previous job, and it was really my first experience working one-on-one with a registered dietitian. I mean, I had worked alongside her from a distance, like in the hospital setting. But anyways, it was just an awesome experience for me. I loved working alongside you, and oh my gosh, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And I loved just like talking things through and learning from you. And so Jenny she's been a dietitian for 30 years. And has currently working in a long-term care setting, so with older adults, with frail adults, with chronically ill adults. So she knows the people that we take care of and that we love and adore and want to be sure that we're doing the best for. And then also lots of experience in kidney disease, dialysis, heart disease, all of those things.
Absolutely.
So a wealth of knowledge, and we're so lucky to have you. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. This is so much fun. I was so excited.
So I always like to start with something kind of just silly. And I think I've asked you this question before, but especially in the South. So I'm thinking of like my great grandmother's green beans, and she would boil them for like 10 hours or something like that. And now people say, well, at least people in the South say, they just boil all the nutrients out of them. Can you tell us if that's true or not?
Well, there's some truth to that. I mean, if that's the only way you'll eat a green bean, then by all means, that's fine. Because you do get some fiber out of it, even if you do boil all of the good B vitamins out of it. But you will get something out of it. So I don't mind telling people it's okay if you need to do it. It's best if you want to maintain the integrity of it. Just make it till it's a little crunchy. But otherwise, yeah, it's fine. It's fine to boil it till it's barely unrecognizable.
If that's what you have to do.
If that's what you have to do to get it down.
An overboiled green bean is better than no green bean. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just sort of like how they say, and if you dip a carrot in ranch, it doesn't take away the nutrients of the carrot. Now, it's
going to add some fat and stuff, but if that's how you have to get it down, then by all means,
so be it.
Because there's some good things in the ranch too. You get some essential fatty acids from that, and some culture if you use real buttermilk. There's all sorts of things.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that I loved working with you, is that you were always able to like really see the big picture of things, and it really put nutrition in this viewpoint for me of like, it wasn't necessarily good things and bad things, because people think that. And also when I was talking to patients about engaging with the dietitian, they'd be like, oh no, I'm set in my ways. I've been eating cheeseburgers and French fries for 20 years. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to do anything to change that. But when I worked alongside you, I didn't see you go and try to make big changes like that, because we know that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. I would not react well to someone telling me that everything in my diet was wrong.
Right.
And if we can just take a couple of look at the big picture, look at everything that you're eating. Most people try and do pretty much the right thing. They just need a little nudge to make a few changes here and there, adjustments, not even really changes, just adjustments. Yeah. And they're doing a lot better. And then it's one small change, and then you see positive results from it, and then you want to adjust again.
That's right.
Until you get to where you need to be.
That's exactly right. It empowers them to want to maybe dig a little bit deeper.
Absolutely.
And so I was just like inspired by working with you and just loved it. So
well, thank you. That makes me happy.
So I want to talk a little bit about there are so many things that change with aging and nutrition and appetite. Like, we could probably just talk for hours, no joke about that. But like, talk a little bit about some of the basic things that like may occur as people get older.
Ooh, as we get older, as far as our GI tract is, our GI motility slows down. We don't have the transit time that we used to, so we may get constipated. We may get a little diarrhea. We may feel full for a lot longer than we used to, so that affects your appetite. A lot of things like we don't maintain our muscle mass like we used to, so we can some people put on weight a lot easier. Some people, they struggle putting on weight.
Yeah.
And they struggle at some point with the lack of muscle mass. They end up not being able to sit in one place for a long time without maybe getting a little bit of redness or even a wound. So there are a lot of things that change as we get older. Our sense of smell is not that great.
Oh, yeah, that change.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of eating and enjoying food, is being able to smell and taste, and it all is tied together.
Absolutely. And even with if you have some nerve stuff.
Oh, neuropathy.
Yeah, neuropathy. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Even if you have a little neuropathy, it can hurt to use your hands to eat a sandwich. That any of that tactile, all of that stimuli when you eat, all the things that you do, they get affected as you get older. Even your taste buds change.
I know. People tell me that all the time. They're like, my taste buds have changed. Like, nothing really tastes good anymore. And obviously disease processes can complicate that too.
Absolutely. There are some disease processes that adjust your sense of taste to try and keep you from eating certain foods, types of foods, so that you'll slow down on eating. That makes them taste weird. So those eggs may not taste like they used to. That piece of meat may not taste like it used to. And if that's the case, well, it's probably time to go to the doctor.
Yeah, you may. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, I think that's a good point, is like mentioning that, because I think people don't always, like, when we worked together taking care of patients with renal disease, they wouldn't necessarily think it was important to tell us that meat started tasting funny, right? Because they're like, well, just getting older, and my great grandmother did this. She didn't really eat meat when she was 80, and this is just normal. But like, that was a symptom that was very important to us to know, but like really communicating those things with your provider.
Absolutely. And also it can be, if things don't taste as good as they used to, or you don't taste much at all, that can also be a sign of, zinc deficiency. So, and that happens a lot when you've been sick. So if you've had the flu or COVID or something like that you burn up a lot of zinc, it could be an indicator that you're zinc deficient too. So there are a lot of indicators that we hear when we hear certain things. We go, oh, well, there might be an issue there.
Oh, that's interesting, because I know that zinc levels is not something I routinely check in people.
No, most people don't. Most people don't. Honestly, a lot of people don't. But there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit of zinc, just a tiny amount for a month or so to see if it gets better. If it doesn't get better, then
let it be.
Let it be.
Yeah. That's a good point. So especially if you've been chronically ill. And I know that me personally, I had like a very, very low vitamin C level, and had reached out to you and was like, oh my gosh, help me figure this out. I don't understand. And, we had talked about, I had been sick during that period of time, and just sort of like burning through that vitamin pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Especially stress too. A lot of stress too. That can, because you need that to recharge certain coenzymes to make energy. So
Sure.
You can burn it up.
It's all tied together.
It does. It all ties together. Or if you've had a wound or something like that, you can use vitamin C to make collagen to heal wounds and whatnot too. So you can burn it up that way too.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit. This kind of just makes me think about supplements. Like, let's talk about supplements. Like, and that is, I'm not going to put you on the hook for all the supplements. That is just like very complicated situation. But
generally speaking, most people don't need a supplement.
Okay.
If they eat well, if they're generally healthy, most people don't need one.
Okay.
I say I even just like a Flintstones vitamin or the cheap gummies because they're easier on the stomach. And that's one thing that happens as you get older. You don't make as much stomach acid and you can become nauseated a little more easily. So I like a
Flintstone gummy?
I like the Flintstones or the gummies. Either one, they're really easy on the stomach. So
I love that. It's amazing to me. It's like a marvel of modern science that we can make anything into a gummy.
I know.
Like, I don't understand it.
And it doesn't hurt your teeth. You know, they may have some dental issues.
Yeah,
and so
that's
I love
a great point.
I love them and they taste good. So if they taste good, you're going to want to keep taking it. Yeah. I don't want to take a vitamin that's all big and thick and it's going to make me nauseated. No,
like
thank
Geritol.
you. No, thank you. They smell horrible. But give me, I like my little gummies that I get at Costco.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. I remember when I was a floor nurse and younger, and a lot of the nurses around us, like we were like newly married or early married, and people were starting to try to have children, you know, and then like the old school, not old, but old school nurses on the floor were like, take Geritol. Well,
it probably does have a lot of folic acid in it, but I mean, was it the liquid?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it works.
I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. And, I couldn't do it. And I think that goes to say, like, if you are going to do something and it needs to be sustainable, like, have it in a form where it can be sustainable.
Exactly. Be your friend. Be your own friend. You know?
Life is way too short to be taking a liquid multivitamin.
Yeah. Keep wanting to take that Mary Ruth or whatever, it's a liquid.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I keep wanting to try it because at a certain age, your hair does weird things. But I'm like, I just don't know if I can get a liquid vitamin down in me. I just don't know.
You have to make chicken. A cocktail.
I'm chicken because I know it's going to be awful.
I know. It's so bad. Yeah, it's terrible.
But generally speaking, most people don't need a supplement if they're eating fruits and vegetables. Not all, if you're just eating, generally speaking, a pretty balanced diet, you don't need a supplement.
You're probably getting what you need and probably doing okay.
If your doctor runs some tests and you are low in certain things like vitamin D or vitamin C or B12, there are some great ones out there. I usually look for a USP on the label. That means it's been the pharmacist.
Like a pharmaceutical grade.
It's a pharmaceutical grade, and they also take they test each product, each batch to make sure it has in it what it says it has in it. So
that's great.
And USP.
So are those things, like when it says USP, can you find those things at Costco and
you can
over
find
the
them
counter?
At Costco, Walgreens, CVS, any drugstore, supermarket.
Oh, great.
Kind of thing.
Okay, great. I know that I usually buy mine from Now.
I like Now
brands. That's what I
like. Nature Made. It's made in Auburn, so I kind of like.
It's made in Auburn.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Nature Made is made in Auburn, people. So, good to know.
I know, and they make a lot of USP products, and one that I really like is it's a B12 liquid gel.
Yeah,
and it's got a really thick coating.
Those are hard to find, by the way. B12 liquid gels.
They are, but Nature Made makes one.
Good.
And you can find them. I find them at the grocery store. But the cool thing is because B12 is very easily destroyed in the gut, and so that really thick, soft gel helps it get to the small intestine before it ruptures, and that it's absorbed as well as anything else. So I mean, it's much better absorbed.
That's great.
And then you can just take one a week and instead of every day. You don't have to even do that.
That's amazing. So what are some disease processes, and we obviously don't have to go through every single one, but like, say I have, some sort of GI disease or, some sort of inflammatory bowel disease. Like, what are some things that maybe I should be talking to my, GI doctor about, or my provider about do I need to add these supplements, or is this necessary?
I would ask them to run a B12.
Okay.
Just a B12 and a good iron panel just to make sure you're getting plenty of iron.
Okay.
Most of the time, most people don't need iron. Only if you're iron deficient do you need iron. Most of the time when you're anemic, it's either from a blood loss from somewhere, or you get the anemia of chronic disease, and that's generally something a multivitamin can fix.
Okay.
Because
good to know.
You need other things beside iron to make
That's
red
right.
blood cells. So
Right.
generally speaking, it's those because they're water soluble and easily depleted. They're a lot easier to replete. So,
Okay. Okay.
That's where that general multivitamin comes from. That the Flintstones or whatnot, they help with that.
Okay.
But if you know chronic, we call it the anemia of chronic disease, and sometimes you get, when you have significant inflammation, it impedes certain vitamins and minerals from being absorbed well, and that's your B12 and your B vitamins, some of your B vitamins, and definitely some iron.
Yeah, and iron's tough. If anybody's taken iron,
You don't want to take it unless you have to.
It's hard. It's hard on your stomach.
Yes.
It's constipating. It's,
All the
people
things.
sometimes don't tolerate it well. So
I say just try and get red meat down
Yeah.
a couple times a week and see if you can get your iron up that way.
yeah, yeah. What about, now this is also a myth bust thing, but in the South, they say cook in a cast iron skillet.
You can.
Does that help?
It does help. It does
Yeah.
leach some, especially if you're doing things that are also like greens.
Yeah.
If you're cooking,
That are really going to sit there for a bit.
this is kind of acidic, and so it's going to leach out some of that iron.
Ah.
And then you've got the vitamin C from the greens, and that really does help. That's going to be a non-heme iron. It's not your best iron for getting your iron up, but it definitely will help, especially when you add vitamin C to it.
Okay, good to know.
That's not a myth. It's true.
It's true.
It's true.
How about it? That's great. That's great. Good. What if there's like some sort of skin breakdown or wounds involved? Like, what are some things we should be thinking about?
Well, we should be thinking about protein. That is actually one thing I've been reading a lot about recently. Is we used to not, only if you had a wound did we start to look at increasing your protein needs, but now we're seeing that there's more benefit to, not by a whole lot, just a little bit more. We would say 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, but now we're saying 1.1 gram to 1.2 grams is actually beneficial for the elderly.
Oh, so a little bit more
bit more protein. Now, it's a lot of times people don't want a lot of protein as we get older, and they don't have the appetite, so you just have to kind of sneak it in throughout the day with smaller meals or snacks.
What are some good ways to do that?
Oh, cheese and crackers, peanut butter and crackers, or maybe a half of a turkey sandwich. Just little ways throughout the day. It all adds up throughout the day. You could do a protein shake if you wanted to. But
there's so many protein shakes on the market right now.
Yeah, there are, and you can do it with food. Life is short. Eat something good.
Yeah,
you can even do it with a handful of nuts. I mean, and those kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah. So if somebody does think that a shake might be best for them, like, is that okay? Like, is that still an adequate source of protein rather than actual like food you're biting into? Like, they're still going to get some benefit from that.
You are. It's just expensive.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. They're just a little bit more expensive, but you totally can.
Okay. Good to know. What about, in kind of addition to supplements, also thinking about like Ensure and Boost and things like that? Like,
they're okay.
When do we use those? Like, when is it appropriate?
Well, if you're losing weight.
Okay.
And it's unintentional. If you just have no appetite, if you're fighting a big process like going through chemo or with renal disease, end-stage renal disease, or having dialysis, or something where you've got a big long process ahead of you. Yeah. That's totally fine to do that.
Yeah. Especially when your body's really utilizing a lot of calories that you may not be able to keep up with intake.
Absolutely.
Those are pretty nutrient dense. Also expensive though.
They are. I like the store brands are just as good.
Okay.
Walmart makes one. I think it's an Equate that's just as good as an Ensure.
Yeah.
Tastes just about the same.
The same darn thing.
They were probably made in the same facility. They do a lot of that.
Good to know. Yeah, I think that, and what I've told people before is that I've seen people who have started using Ensure or Boost or things like that for, trying to put on a little more weight or maintain their weight if maybe they've, been through a big illness or something, but they're not a replacement. It's
are not.
meant to be a supplement. So in addition to your regular meals, is that right?
I like to use them as a snack.
Yeah, like in between.
Or right before bed.
Yeah.
Well, not too, just as an evening snack, about an hour before bed, whatever.
Okay.
So you don't have, especially if you have any kind of reflux or anything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. That could be a whole podcast. We could talk about reflux.
Right? The joys of getting older.
Yeah, also part of it. So, okay. I mean, that's good to know. I think a lot of people see some of those like Boost and Ensure as like their
only options, but there are lots of other options.
Yeah.
You can make your own milkshakes at home. You can add heavy cream to stuff. You can add, if you're not lactose intolerant, you can add powdered milk to get protein and soups, cream soups and things like that to boost up your protein. You can add cheese and cottage cheese to different things to add all sorts of calories without having to dip into the cost of those Ensure type things.
Maybe use things that you would already have on hand.
On hand at home. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know we deal with a lot of people with cognitive impairment, brain changes, and it can be really challenging.
It can.
Getting them to take in enough food, especially like for the caregiver's sake. Like the caregiver wants to see them eat and, obviously, and also in the South, that's how we love people is we feed them good food. And when people aren't doing that, we're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you not eating? And,
And sometimes smaller meals are less intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Finger foods can help a lot
Mm-hmm.
to keep that tactile sensation intact and kind of bring them back to the moment with the finger foods. Small, frequent meals, just to have somebody taking care of them.
Yeah. And too, like the social aspect, I always encourage people if they're caregiving, if they can, or if they can bring in another family member, like sharing meals with their loved one is huge. I mean, there's such a social aspect of eating,
Absolutely. We see a lot of that in our care facilities where we get them to go to the dining room. And
it makes a huge
difference when they've got some other people to talk to and just interact with in general.
Yeah, people eat more. They eat a little better, I think. That's a huge piece of it. It's just some interaction, feeling like you're, part of something bigger than just sitting by yourself and eating.
Yeah.
So, and then also, we talk about like I've talked to people about small frequent meals before, and really liberalizing diets too for people who have cognitive impairment.
We talk a lot about that. What's the big picture? Why are we limiting this? Is it an imminent danger that we are limiting what they can eat, or is this an old recommendation from years ago for a heart condition?
Oh my gosh, I know.
That's no longer really, yes, it's relevant. However, is that something we want to harp on?
Yeah.
Or do we want to give some enjoyment for the time that they are cognitively able to enjoy it?
Right.
So.
And I know you and I encountered people who had, various issues and had like clung to this idea that a GI doctor told them 20 years ago, and they're going to die on that hill and they will never eat that one thing they told them not to eat. And so,
and that's fine because there's some people that are just not going to change, but there are others, if it's not going to give you put you in imminent danger, I say, is it worth it?
I absolutely agree. And like I always say on this podcast, like be open-minded, be willing to like understand that things change with your health. Things change over time as we age. Like it's fluid and it doesn't stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so like be good to yourself and be open-minded.
Absolutely. Be good to yourself. And be good to your loved ones too.
Yeah.
Think about sometimes, is that pinch of salt going to give them a little bit of enjoyment of this meal?
Yeah.
Which could be their last, or is this
sure.
something we want to? Is it going to make their feet swell? Well, we'll put their feet up.
Right.
Do some other interventions. But
sure.
It's all about making their lives a little bit enjoyable.
That's right. We want to do what makes sense.
Yes.
And sometimes what makes sense isn't necessarily what a textbook says.
Exactly.
Sometimes we have to be willing to like be flexible and think outside the box a little bit, and like that's just all part of life and part of aging and aging well and taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk a little bit about, okay, this is like a hot topic, but diabetes.
Oh. Okay.
And that's a huge topic, like how do we, I remember when I was in nursing school, there was like, we were they taught us carb counting and
yes.
I've never known anyone who carb counted for a sustainable amount of time. Now, maybe, they did. I have. I mean, maybe they have. I'm not saying they haven't, but it doesn't seem like the most sustainable thing.
We figured that out a long time ago. I'm like, why am I going to go into this patient's room and talk about this? They're not going to follow this because it's too complicated.
Yeah, exactly.
We do more of a plate strategy and kind of consistent carbohydrates and keeping the number of carbohydrate servings that you're going to have per meal kind of consistent throughout the day. Yeah. That way you can adjust your insulin or you can adjust your meds accordingly to that. The plate method is where you look at a plate and half that plate you want non-starchy vegetables on, a quarter of the plate.
So not macaroni and cheese.
Macaroni and cheese is not a vegetable.
Oh, we just busted a myth.
That's right. Not a vegetable. It's going to be counted as a carbohydrate. And we're not talking about a turkey platter either. We're talking about like a just standard old school 9-inch plate.
Okay.
They are actually plates for getting back to the normal size.
They are. Yeah.
But boy, in the 2000s, those plates were huge. My mom had to get all new cabinets to fit her plates. I'm not kidding.
I believe that 100%.
But yeah, half the plate non-starchy vegetables, a quarter of the plate would be your starch, and then a quarter of the plate lean meats, and that's how you kind of look at the plate method for diabetes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that seems very reasonable.
It is kind of reasonable. And if you want to think about that as far as a salad goes, and your plate would be full of greens, and then you've got your you might have a side of something to go with that, or you've got croutons, or you've got maybe some fruit in there too in your salad, and then you've got your protein on top.
Okay, that seems like something that anybody could do. I know I've taken care of patients before, and they've had very concerned caregivers who are super well-meaning, and they're like 92 or very frail or very elderly, and they're like, no, mom cannot have cake. Like, mom's diabetic. There's no cake for mom.
We even give cake at our nursing homes, so because we'll give a half a piece, a smaller piece, but it's consistent. We're not giving the whole piece because again, life is short. You want mom to have something,
That's right.
and we can treat the diabetes when we can treat at a certain age. We can treat that.
Right. It sounds like a big thing here is consistency, because like if you're gonna, and this makes total sense, and this is what I've taught my patients before too. Like, don't completely give something up. Like, just be moderate and consistent at the same time with it, and then your meds, your lifestyle, other things can fall into place around your diet. Like, there can be balance there.
Absolutely.
True balance, not restriction.
No, not a lot of restriction, just consistency, moderation, and activity. Adding some activity helps a lot.
I remember, I used to talk a lot with patients about adding on some activity, and it wouldn't be big things,
No, walking to the mailbox.
Right, exactly. Walking to the mailbox. Taking a flight of stairs instead of the elevator.
Parking a little further from the grocery store. Making another lap around the grocery store. Of all the things, because that is one thing that the elderly struggle with, is keeping their strength and endurance up, especially after any kind of event. If you've been sick or maybe had a surgery, it's real easy to sit and stay sitting.
Yeah. And we've talked about it in this podcast before, like, it's not a lazy thing, it's not a motivation thing, like, it is truly like biological cell changes occur as you age that make it harder to, maintain strength and make it harder to maintain muscle mass and to have stamina and be able, and it does not take much to set back what you may have. I mean,
no,
it doesn't take much at all.
And as we go through menopause and andropause, those we don't support, our body really doesn't support that muscle mass like it used to. And normally we would build it back up. But if you're in your 70s and 80s and 90s, it takes a lot more effort to get for your body to build those materials up again.
Yeah, it does. And I see people like become just really sad and discouraged about that, and trying to just offer some peace to them in those moments. I know that's really hard for them.
But a little bit of activity goes a long way.
Yeah.
You don't have to be doing jumping jacks and Jack LaLanne in the living room to get some results.
That's good, because I don't like jumping jacks.
I don't either.
After you've had children, jumping jacks just aren't ideal.
No, they are not. They are not. But you can definitely keep up your activity and your endurance as you get older. You just have to try a little harder.
Yeah, good.
Joints hurt too.
Oh, that is a huge part of it. Yeah, joints hurt, and yeah.
You may have some neuropathy, some things like that, but there are ways to get a little more activity. You even get one of those little pedals they're tiny and they look like bike pedals.
Yeah.
And you can pedal those while you're watching television.
Yeah, yeah.
You're still sitting, but you're getting a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. I mean, just about anyone can do that too. I mean, it doesn't.
And it helps. It helps. It really does help with diabetes too. It makes those receptor sites for insulin work better.
Because you're putting a little stress on them, right? And having to put a little stress on your muscles, making them break down and metabolize nutrients and sugar and all of those things. And so, yeah.
Those sites work a little bit better with exercise.
And in the kind of vein of diabetes, let's talk about sugar a little bit.
Okay.
Is sugar bad?
Ooh, it's not great. I think that's going to be where we'll find one day that sugar is going to be one of the biggest, well, not all types of sugars, but processed sugar, just table sugar, processed sugar, things like that. We're going to find that that's going to be one of the biggest inflammatory substances that we consume.
Yeah.
And it really does cause a lot of inflammation. And inflammation leads to chronic disease.
Yeah.
So sugar is not great. I mean, in moderation, you can have some, but if you're drinking sweet drinks all the time, sodas and sweet tea, and we love our sweet tea in the South.
We do.
Those really not only do they just add lots of calories for no reason, but they really do increase your amount of full body inflammation, which can lead to some poor outcomes.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people do make efforts to cut back on sugar, and I know artificial sweeteners are a big thing.
Yeah.
And I remember working with you, one of the things that I learned is how those can cause GI upset.
They can.
And diarrhea.
They can. Those sugar alcohols, things like the sucralose or the yellow, things in the yellow pack, or any of the sugar alcohols that you find in those protein shakes that are sugar-free.
Yeah.
They pull in a lot of liquid in the lower intestine. That's where they're metabolized, whereas regular sugar is metabolized in the stomach and the small intestine. So all that liquid gets absorbed. But it pulls in liquid to the large intestine where it's absorbed for that, and it gives you diarrhea. Or
it's taking Miralax or lactulose then.
Exactly. Lactulose is a sugar alcohol.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And the Miralax, it has the same effect.
Oh, it's like my poor 8-year-old son who, when we were at Disney in May, grabbed a bag of gummies from the gift shop, and we paid no attention. Taylor's laughing. We paid no attention, and we're walking around, and we're in Hollywood Studios, and he's eating half a bag of gummies, which, the bag has 6 servings of gummies in it or something. And I look down and I'm like, oh, those are sugar-free. And I'm like, oh, Ben, those are sugar-free, buddy. And he's like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, oh. So, needless to say, we spent a lot of time waiting outside restrooms at Disney that day on Ben.
Yes, I bet he was sweating up a storm.
So, back to the gummies. We've come full circle now.
So if there's a certain brand of sugar-free gummy bear, what are the gummy bears, like the German ones?
Oh, yeah, the best, like in the gold bat, Haribo.
Yeah, they have a sugar-free one. You can look on Amazon.
Oh, at the reviews.
At the reviews, oh, they're hilarious. I was rolling laughing. They're so good.
I've never used that. I've never told people to do that for constipation, but I do suppose they could.
You can. My favorite thing to use for that is that I tell people to use for that are the Russell Stover little chocolates, because you can get these. They're sugar-free chocolates. I mean, they're wonderful. They taste like the real thing, and I mean, they make the magic happen. And they taste delicious.
Yeah. Well, that's way better than lactulose. So that works out.
And Miralax. Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about like some of this comes with aging, but not necessarily normal parts of aging, but can be like associated with other disease processes, stroke, other neurological things, but difficulty swallowing.
Yes. I work with a wonderful team of speech therapists, and we talk all the time about our swallowing, little folks with dysphagia. It just makes things really difficult sometimes it can be, even with a stroke, it could be that the tongue doesn't work well, and because you use your tongue to roll things around in your mouth and swallow. It could be from here, like your upper throat swallowing versus the lower, and just that peristalsis, or that continued movement that goes from your mouth all the way to the other end to keep things moving along that are paralyzed from the stroke. So you just have to accommodate with maybe different textures of food, thicknesses of different liquids. There are some exercises that the speech therapist can do to help kind of strengthen some of that, but there are definitely interventions that you can employ to help with that.
Yeah, and some of those I've seen are like thickened things.
Yeah.
I personally, just like anecdotally, don't love thickened liquids because people just don't drink them, in my experience. And there's been some research to say that, like, you know, in some cases it does more harm than good. It's just challenging. I mean, nobody wants to like drink a 20-ounce gel, you know.
True. Now the honey, the nectar is not. It's mildly thick, and that's what the vast majority of people are on. The water is lemon flavored, and it's actually not bad.
Oh,
it's slightly sweet, and it's got a lemon.
They have a tea also.
The tea is not my favorite, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. It's a little sweet, and it's a little lemony, and you know, it goes down. It's not terrible, but it's not ideal either, especially if you're used to, you know, in the South, we're so used to our really cold sweet tea, and it's just not the same. No. And I get that. But it's better than, unfortunately, it's better than getting pneumonia.
This is true. Yeah, this is true. And I've seen people like puree anything.
You can puree you would be surprised what you can puree.
Is there anything you can't? I mean, I think I've seen it all pureed.
I love the little things that you can get from Hormel that are pre-done, and so like the chicken looks like a little chicken breast, and it looks like a little chicken. The peas
looks like those Fisher Price toys from the 90s. You know, the peas do, where you put the spoon in it and it disappeared.
It does. They do such a great job with those little food molds. But you can just about puree anything. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well,
you can puree hot dogs, but it's just not the best experience. It's not a good experience.
I think that's potted meat, right? I mean,
pretty much. Pretty much. It's the smell. Oh.
Yeah, I don't think hot dogs need to remain in hot dog form.
I agree.
There are some foods that just do not need to be pureed. So.
I agree. That's one of them.
I think that part of the problem, one of the problems we have with healthcare is that people I don't think they have good access to dietitians.
I agree.
What are some ways that, like when I worked at UAB, a huge health system in the outpatient setting at least, and this was really insurance, like confined to like what insurance would pay for at that time or whatever, what I was told or understood. But like if someone had diabetes, we could refer them to a dietitian and they get a 30-minute session. And that was really it. There was no follow-up or anything else.
Typically with that's the problem. It's got to be a newly diagnosed diabetic, and then you get an hour and a follow-up of 30 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And same thing with kidney disease. I think you get three visits from one for outpatient. Inpatient, it's pretty easy. Just tell your doctor you want to see one. If you're in the hospital.
Right, correct. Yeah. If you're
That's
in the
easy.
hospital, you've pretty much got access.
If you're on dialysis, you'll have a dietitian on staff that you will see that will be your dietitian. If you're in a nursing home, you'll have a dietitian that you can see. But yeah, you're right. The access that we have available for people is just not great.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that is.
I don't know why it is either. It makes
We
no
don't.
sense to me.
We're not reimbursed a lot
Sure.
for a lot of things, and so and nobody wants to pay. You don't want to pay a rate that you would say if we're to see you.
Right.
To see us. So
Right, sure.
So once we have, a lot of people have plenty of opportunity to go see them, and you can pay them cash, but it's just that a lot of the reimbursement's not there. I wish there were more options available.
Yeah, me too. Are there things that people can do to kind of advocate for themselves, like, or if they are newly diagnosed diabetic or they do have kidney disease, like what are conversations they could be having with their providers or their loved ones could be having to make sure that they're getting that service that they deserve?
Just to ask if they have one available or if they can refer them, because I'm sure that they know people, and the American Dietetic Association has a service. I think that you could find a referral.
Oh, that's great. Like you could go on their website, put your location in, and it may bring up some people who are available to you.
Right. I think it's called eatright.org.
Okay, eatright.org. Good to know. And I do think that very slowly there is some increasing access, through value-based care and other organizations and programs that are coming out, but there's definitely a huge gap there.
Absolutely. We've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, I know. So I so appreciate you coming on today. This was wonderful to have this conversation. I wish everyone had access to you.
I do too. I wish we had a lot more opportunities to visit with the public. When I first started practicing 30 years ago, we would do things like there would be grocery stores that would have us on staff, so we could do grocery store tours and stuff like that.
Wow.
And we worked well with 4-H and did some outreach with cooperative extension in the communities and had things like that. And a lot of those programs, like with SNAP and some of those programs are slowly losing access.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
It is, because it's a whole generation of people that are not going to learn how to eat well.
Sure. You're right.
Yeah. Because we used to learn that in school, and there used to be a class for nutrition, like at least a segment in home ec. Yeah. And they don't do home ec anymore.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. How is anybody going to know how to make Rice Krispie treats?
I know, right? Or a cake. Or sew a shirt,
I hope they do.
They just have to go on YouTube, I guess.
Oh, this is true. Oh, man. Well, we're going to have you back and maybe really dial down into some more topics, because I know you're so smart and I want to pick your brain. So.
Well, I would love that. This was fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks everybody for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and we will see you next time.
Bye.